Hello everyone, have you ever stopped to wonder about modern problems and back in the day problems? Because I did. I was driving today and I started to think about the problems that we had as teenagers and the problems that teenagers have right now. And I was actually laughing because our problems were so much different than nowadays. Nowadays, with technology, problems are that you cannot find your cable to or your charger to charge your phone, that you cannot have access to Wi-Fi and things like that. But the problems that we faced as teenagers were totally different, and I decided to make a video and bring those problems to you and see if you agree with them. So please make sure that you stick around to watch the whole video, to make sure that you comment and leave me your comments and your opinions and see if you agree with the problems that I'm mentioning and if you had any different problems. Also make sure that you hit the thumbs up and that you also subscribe and that you turn on the notification bell around here somewhere so that you are notified every time that I upload videos. And without further ado, let's just start the video. Okay guys, what were the problems that we xennials had when we were teenagers? Well, let me tell you, they were very different, and now that I think very ridiculous, but there were problems after all. The first problem that we had was that we will record half a song. We didn't have streaming music, we didn't have iTunes, we didn't have Spotify or any other source to get music but from cassettes, from CDs, or from the radio. And whenever we wanted a song, we will record it from the radio. But sometimes we will not have enough space on a cassette and we didn't know, and the song will be recorded half of it, or something happened in the middle and it stopped recording, or someone spoke in the middle of the song and it screwed up your recording. That was a huge deal because it was really difficult to know when was the song going to be playing again. So you will need to call the radio station and ask for the song. So that was very interesting, very funny, and I encountered that many times. Second problem, a broken cassette. You were going to record a song and it was broken, the tape was all loose, you needed to use a pencil to put it back in place, or it was just simply not working, the tape was all screwed up, and I mean, there were many problems that you could encounter with a cassette, and not having a cassette meant that you will needed to go to look for a cassette or go buy one, and if you didn't have money, then that was the end of it. And if it was a cassette with songs or from your favorite artist and something happened to it, that meant that you lost your music. So that was a big deal. Broken VHS player or VHS tape, the same thing. Whenever we wanted to watch a movie, we had, well, at least not in Costa Rica, Blockbuster. I know that Blockbuster was one of the biggest chains in the United States, but in Costa Rica we had different stores where we will go and rent videos, we will rent movies, and well, you will play the movie, but sometimes the player will have different issues and will not play the movie. We'll jump the movie, I don't know, it will do many things, even screw up with the tape, and if it damaged the tape, it meant that you needed to pay the movie. And it was not as simple as cassettes, as music cassettes, that you could just use a pencil to manually rewind it. You will need a technician sometimes because it meant that even the player was screwed up, and that was the worst because that meant no movies and paying a movie, and it was a disaster. Been there and I hate it. Next problem, no paid phone or a broken paid phone. We didn't have cell phones. Not everyone had the luxury of having a cell phone. Usually there was one cell phone per household at the max. And well, it was for business purposes. Calls were really expensive, so not everyone had a cell phone. We used paid phones, and whenever you look for a paid phone, there was a lot of paid phones, but whenever you found one, you could encounter many problems. One of them being that the cable was broken, so whenever you grab the handheld, you will end up with a handheld on your hand and no connected phone, or the phone was not taking any coins. They were just go through, so it didn't give you a tone. You couldn't collect call, anything, or it was just simply not working, didn't have a tone, it was dead. I mean, there were many problems that you could encounter. Besides the fact that you needed to clean the handheld on your clothes because you didn't know who used it. It was very unsanitary, and I mean, that's disgusting, and I don't want to get in detail with that because I was one of those that will just use paid phones only in case of emergencies because I was really disgusted about them. Next problem is related to the last one, no money or paid cards to call. Perhaps you had one coin and the phone was not taking your coins and you didn't have more coins. You needed to see if a friend had a coin, but if you were alone, that was the end of it. And if you didn't have a card, you needed to collect call. Now, not always collect calls will go through, so it was also a big deal not being able to use a paid phone, because if you won the lottery and found a good phone but you didn't have money, it was like, come on. It was painful. Honestly, I remember those days, and I'm glad that I have a cell phone. These little things are the best invention ever. Dial-up internet. You cannot even imagine what it meant to connect dial-up to internet. It meant that you needed to connect through a phone, through a dial-up phone, which meant that no one could use the phone at your house. And depending on the time of the day, it was going to be very, very high traffic and very busy, so it will take even 1 hour to connect. And whenever you connected and the call got disconnected because someone grabbed the phone, that was the worst. I would get so furious because whenever you were going to use dial-up internet, you were like, I'm going to connect to the internet, no one grab the phone, please, because that was a nightmare. If it was so difficult to connect and someone disconnected your call, depending on the time of the day, it meant that you were not going to be able to connect again. And whenever you connected to the internet, it was because it was necessary. You needed to do a project for your school, or you were doing research, or you needed to talk to someone when chats started to be a thing. So it was tragic, and I hated that, and that's one of the things that I least miss about my teenager years, dial-up internet. Another problem that we had was that we exposed our camera films. Before digital cameras and DSLRs and all these modern technology on cameras, on phones, that you're able to just take a photo and a bunch of pictures, we used cameras with film, and we had 12, 24 and 36 frames to take pictures, so we will save our pictures. But the thing was that we had to put the film in and try to connect it or put it properly because it needed to rewind. Some of the cameras were automatic, so it will rewind it automatically. And in other cameras, you needed to do it manually. Every time that you took a picture, you needed to roll down or scroll a little thing on the side, and it will take you to the next frame. So we will take care of the situation. So we will control the situations of when we will take the pictures, because this film was expensive at the time. And well, if you were not a professional photographer, you didn't have like a bunch of films. You only, whenever you were on a family trip or on vacations or whatever, you usually will take like one film and you will select which pictures you will take. The biggest problem was when the film was over and you needed to change the film or take it out, because you need to take it out to be able to print the pictures. You will need it to rewind the film. As I said, some of the cameras will do it automatically, but other cameras you will have to do it manually. So you will rewind it, and the epic moment was when you open the little door on the back side of the camera to remove the film, knowing if the film was rewinded properly or not. Because if it was not properly rewinded and you open it and the light hit the film will be exposed and your pictures will be damaged, and it's most likely that whenever you went to develop the pictures, no images will show up because it was damaged. So that was the worst thing that could happen, because you lost money, you lost the pictures, and there's no way to recover those pictures. So that was actually painful, and it happened to me not once, not twice, but a few times. I preferred disposable cameras, because disposable cameras, they were ready, like ready to shoot. You only removed like a little piece of paper, you started taking your pictures, and then you took the whole camera to the store and they will develop the pictures, and it was like a guarantee that you will get good pictures. So that was a situation that I'm sure that kids right now don't even imagine that could happen or existed. The next problem that we had. The next problem was a stolen chat. We didn't have text messages, we didn't have WhatsApp, we didn't have any messenger or chat in which we could exchange comments or anything like that. So we will use paper. We will write a little note and we will pass it along and cross our fingers that the message got to the final destination, because it could get stolen on the way, or it could get confiscated on the way. So it was a little bit embarrassing, because if it was confiscated, most of the times, sorry, they will make you read out loud the message. And if it was stolen, well, it meant that you needed to get into a fight with someone, not fist fight, let me clarify, but I mean, it was like not cool getting your message stolen. And the thing was that usually whenever you were doing that, it was really good gossip. It was something about someone, most likely, or perhaps exchanging information like, hey, do you know that this guy likes you, he's really into you, and blah 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 blah. And well, not nice having a stolen chat at all. No computer. As I mentioned, no one had the privilege of having a cell phone. Same thing with a computer. Not every household had a computer. And if there was a computer, it was one computer per household. So it meant that you needed to take turns. And at least in my house, that it was 4 siblings and my dad and my mom, it meant that we needed to really coordinate who used the computer and the time in which you were going to be sitting there, because you were in need of making a paper or doing a paper. At the beginning, it was not mandatory to type in a computer papers, but if you had a computer, you will use that choice because you wanted to use the computer. It was something exciting, it was something new, it was something cool, so you wanted to use the computer. But not everyone had a computer at home, so you needed to go to a place where they rented computers, and not all the computers were available. Perhaps all of them were busy with people. Some of them will be available, but they were not working properly, or they didn't have the software that you needed, or they were just broken. So it was not easy to access a computer. Now everyone has a laptop, has access to whatever they want, whenever they want, and it's so much easier. And the last problem, no batteries. No batteries, mainly for Walkmans and Discmans. We didn't have streaming music, so we didn't have iTunes, we didn't have Spotify, we didn't have MP3 players like the iPods. So we carried a Walkman or a Discman and a couple of cassettes or CDs. And along the way, our batteries will die. So we will have to look for batteries if we had money, or if we were on a budget and we didn't have, we will have to wait and just listen to the music that the bus driver was listening to, which is not the best music choice it has never been, at least in Costa Rica, their choices are not the best. I respect that everyone has different likes in music, but bus drivers are very particular about the music they listen and the radio stations they listen to. So let's just leave it there. Not gonna get into detail. But for me, as a young teenager, it was a tragedy. I mean, I'm always listening to music, and I'm very particular about the music that I listen, and I know that everyone is very particular about the music they listen to. And whenever you're forced to listen to music that you don't like, you're not gonna get happy, because at least music for me brings me peace, serenity, and if I'm in a bad mood, I use music to control my bad mood. If I'm in a really bad mood, I need music to settle down, to calm down. Whenever you're stressed, you can listen to music that will calm you. And I mean, music is incredible, and if you're forced to listen to something that you don't like, it's going to make you uncomfortable. And I know that that's something that happens to anyone around the world. So, well, those are the problems that I thought are, right now, I think that are very funny. I don't want to knock down the plant. Those problems I know that are very funny and are very different to the problems that teenagers encounter right now. Nowadays, I know that the problems are a little more serious like cyberbullying and getting your information hacked, and the fact that you have access to so much technology. I mean, there's so much privacy that is lost along the way. So I know it's different, but they were problems. We were teenagers, and those were the problems that we lived. And I mean, it's very, very nice to see how life changes, and even the fact knowing that my nephew is never going to understand these problems, because he was born on a technologic world. I wasn't born in a technologic world. I was born in a world that was discovering and creating technology, which is totally different. So please make sure that you leave your comments below. I want to hear about your problems. I want to know if you agree with me, if you encounter the same problems, if you encounter different problems. Please write them down here, because I would love to read about them. Also, make sure that you like this video, that you subscribe if you haven't, because I upload XENNIAL videos every single week. And also make sure that you turn on the notification bell in the corner so that you are notified every time that I upload videos. And I will see you next time. Bye.